Okay, welcome to our fourth community sessions. And today we have Veronica's Adventures with us. Let's explore Sarasota, Florida. The floor is yours, Veronica.
Okay, thank you, Tina. Hello, everybody. Today I'm wearing a different hat. I'm doing the tour guide role for Sarasota, Florida. So let's explore Sarasota, Florida. Okay, so where is Sarasota? So Sarasota is a coastal city and county on the central west corner of Florida, not corner, central west coast of Florida along the Gulf of Mexico. And it's famous for its white, sugary, fine sand and nature and vibrant cultural activities and its food scene and many, many more parks and attractions nearby. Okay, yeah, get ready. Toby over here says help because I drag him everywhere. Okay, so brief history of Florida. I'm sharing this with you because I find the history of Florida fascinating. So artifacts that the archaeologists found around the Sarasota area have stated that this area was settled by Native Americans for more than 14,000 years ago. Isn't that amazing? And then in 1513, our Spanish explorer Juan Ponce de Leon arrived in Florida, and he called the land Pascua, Florida, Festival of Flowers, fittingly, because the Florida is full of tropical flowers and fauna. And then in the 16th to 19th century, Europeans, Spanish conquistador ruled Florida. Then the British Army came in around 1763 to 1783, just briefly ruled Florida. And in 1821, it became the territory of the United States. The British Army and the Spanish Army didn't have much of a presence. And I read in historical books about Florida, mosquitoes got them and they couldn't stand it. So they went on a decline. And then on March 5th, 1821, Florida became the 27th US state. Then in the 20s, during the roaring 20s, Florida went through a boom cycle. Many of the rich and famous of that time came to Florida and built their beautiful mansions on both coasts. So on the Miami coast, there is a place called Vizcaya, and it's just an amazing place. If you guys ever travel that way, you must check it out. And then on the west coast of Florida, John Ringling and his wife settled here and built their own mansion, Ca Dizan, which literally means House of John, which now is a museum, which we will see a little bit later. And it's an amazing piece of architecture. And so as history tells us, and it's still going on, Florida is attractive to many people. So in Florida, you'll see international transplants, people from Europe, people from South America, and the original settlers, including the Seminole Indians, who had escaped to Florida from slavery. And let's see. And so they come here for the sunshine, just like we still do now. And in 2014, with 19 million people, surpassed New York's population. And as of 2021, 22 million people made Florida their home. And still, the inbound population continues to grow. And in between, during the pandemic year, 2021 to 2022, 500,000 people moved to Florida. Isn't that amazing? And I happen to be one of them. And in Sarasota, it is reported that 15 new people move in to the county every day. And in the Sarasota, Bradenton, Northport metro area, population in 2022 was 860,000. So you may wonder, what's the attraction? Let's go find out. So people came to Florida for the sunshine and its natural beauty and opportunities. So in the 20s, the real estate boom occurred. And following the roaring 20s, more and more people came here for the agriculture opportunities and its beautiful beaches. So this is the Ringling Museum, built by John Ringling, the king of circus, and his wife, Mabel Ringling. And upon his death in 1936, this whole campus, his home, his museum, and the entire estate was donated to state of Florida. And now it's an amazing museum, housing Aslo Theater, the Circus Museum, and the Ringling Museum of Art. And this is Venetian Gothic, is what I learned, the architectural style. And if you do come to visit, don't pass on the Circus Museum. It's an amazing exhibit. It's a miniature built by, I don't know the guy's name, but one person made each piece, miniature pieces, to replicate the logistics of the circus in the old days. And it's quite an exhibit you must see. Okay, and this is inside the courtesan. And this is where they had the dance and companies. And John and Mabel didn't have any children, so I think they entertained a lot. Yeah, and this is the downstairs, and this is the upstairs, obviously. And the upstairs requires a separate admission fee for a special tour, but it's a must-see location site in Sarasota. And this is the inside of the art museum. John and Mabel loved art, and they collected, I think it was Mabel mostly. She loved art, and they had purchased beautiful pieces, and they are all in the exhibition at the museum. And in the museum, there's also a little section for Asian art, and a lot of ceramics and paintings from China and Japan. I didn't see any from Korea, unfortunately. Okay, so this is the theater. It's called the Aslo Repertory Theater. This theater has quite a history. So this theater was originally built in Italy. And right before the war, people in the village took it down piece by piece. to save it from damage and destruction from the war. And in 1949, the director at the museum, for the Ringling Museum, had learned about this theater, and he inquired the town in Italy if he could acquire it, and they agreed. So the Ringling organization paid the Italian town that had the theater in boxes for $8,000. And so they shipped it over from Italy to Sarasota, and they originally had it inside the art museum. And then a few years later, it had its own building outside of the museum, but in the same campus. Yeah, it's a beautiful theater. And I put in the link here, and you can see the history and their shows. And I think 2 weeks ago, I saw a musical, La Mancha, and it was quite an experience. And the theater is beautiful. Okay, next one. If you guys have any questions, just stop me anytime. Okay. And this is more of the culture scene in Sarasota. So there, as we have the Monterey Aquarium in California, Sarasota has our own aquarium research center. It's called the Moat Marine Laboratory and Aquarium, and they have tropical fish, octopus, sharks, and as you can guess, children and other family members love this place. Okay, another worthy theater of mentioning is the West Coast Black Theater Troupe. Very talented troupe and talented people. And it was established to promote diversity in the theater production. And they have lots of playwrights that was given scholarships from this organization. And it's one of the most vibrant happening theater in Sarasota. And here's another link here to learn more about the West Coast Black Theater. Please visit. Okay, let's go back. All right, next. And this is one of my, well, they're all my favorites. I really love all of them. And this is the Florida Studio Theater. And it has cabaret style seatings. And wait, did I put in a wrong link? I did. Okay, I'm going to fix that. Okay. Cabaret style theater. It's very intimate and very romantic, and it's small, but it's very beautiful. And you can have dinner and wine during the show. So it's right in downtown Sarasota. And they do comedy shows, they do musicals, they do plays, etc. I'll fix the link so you can check it out on your after the presentation. And this is the Van Wezel Performing Arts Center. You can see all very high quality classical musicians come, classical music, comedy, concerts. I think Steve Martin came by like last year or a couple of years ago. So this is another theater venue that you would want to visit. Yeah, and other music scene in Sarasota. So I learned that there is a lot of retired famous musicians that made Sarasota their home. So like Brian Johnson of AC/DC. And I saw him at Van Weasel concert. I think the show was Mahler's Symphony No. 5. And as we were walking out of the theater, I noticed a very fancy sneaker on this guy. The sneaker had spikes on him, and a really cool hat. And I thought, okay, this guy must be somebody famous. Not anybody could pull that off. And so I Googled him. Oh, yeah. And then in the parking lot, by coincidence, he had parked right next to our car, and he got into a Bentley convertible and drove off. So I thought he has to be somebody very, very famous. And I Googled him, and I learned that
let me Google what he looks like.
Brian Johnson of AC/DC.
Oh, I see him. I see him. Very cool.
Yeah, yeah. And Joe Perry, founding member of Aerosmith, and Dickie Betts of the Allman Brothers Band. I'm not familiar with him. Oh yeah, and Mick Jagger of the Rolling Stones. Apparently he bought his girlfriend a mansion in Sarasota. Oh, phone. Okay, and then Graham Edge of the Moody's Blues, and Tony Kaye of Yes, it's a British alternative band, I think. And Anne Prentice, she was the first Black harpist in Boston Symphony, and I met her in person, which was a treat. And Sarasota always has something going on. Concerts at concerts at the venues that I just had mentioned. And like there's a restaurant called the Piano Bar, and they have various different types of pianists come and play while you eat your dinner. And a lot of the restaurants have their own piano, and they hire like celloists and violinists. And on the streets, you'll see lots of keyboard players on the streets, and lots of music festivals all throughout the year. And the Sarasota Jazz Festival, they have jazz musicians from all over the world and play. And I think it's like 5 days or 1 week event. And yeah, it's a treat. Yeah, and now the nature in Sarasota, and pictures are worth 1,000 words. So look at these, the sky, the clouds, and the pelicans. I see them all the time. And the most common pelicans are black and gray, but sometimes we'll see the white pelicans. And big birds. I forgot what this bird is called. The great heron. I think it's called the great heron. Yeah. And beautiful sunsets. And lots of butterflies. And all kinds of birds. And this, I think that's, this is, the picture in the middle is a picture of Niagara River. It feeds into the Florida Everglades, and these waters are full of alligators. And the great heron right here, I was fishing on, shore fishing, and he came by to get some freebies. He was waiting for me to catch something and give it to him so he could feed his himself. And Siesta Key Beach or Siesta Beach. It's repeatedly voted the #1 beach in the USA. And what makes it so special? It's the sand on Siesta Key. It's not really sand. They say it is 99% quartz from the Appalachian Mountains. And these sands are supposed to be millions of years old.
That's
And
an interesting fact.
isn't it?
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Appalachian Mountain.
The more I learn about Sarasota and Florida, I'm very enchanted by it. And then because the sand is white, it reflects the sun, so your feet doesn't get too hot. So it's a great place to hang out. And this is a common scene on Siesta Beach. And I only mentioned the Siesta Key Beach here, but within 5-10 miles radius, there is beach very similar to Siesta Beach, called Nokomis, Lido Beach, Longboat Key, Minnesota Key, and Nokomis and Minnesota Key. It's more south of Sarasota, and they're known for shells, beautiful shells and shark teeth. And what do we do on the beach? So every year there's a sand castle competition. This is one of the pictures that I took. A lot of people windsurf, and every Sunday on Siesta Beach, there is an event called the Drum Circle. And this is one of the pictures.
I love the sand art. It's so beautiful, the rose.
Yeah, and people just show up with their drums, and there's a lead drummer, with the beat, and everybody just does, improvises and does their own thing. And the tourists and the regulars, I think this lady is a regular. I always see her whenever I go there. Yeah. And yeah. And I put this in there. One of my favorite activities, just sit and watch the beautiful world around you. The birds, the sunset, the water. And so in Sarasota, there is a place called the Selby Gardens. And it's not that big. I think you could tour it maybe in 2 hours. But last summer they had a special exhibition called the Monet's Garden. So they replicated Monet's garden in France and built the bridge and the pond. It was very well done. More from Selby Gardens, and they have a beautiful pond with beautiful koi's, and in I think from November, Thanksgiving week, onto like New Year's, they have the festival of lights at the Selby Gardens, and this is what you will see. Plants that are all lit up. And part of the Selby Garden is the historic Spanish Point, which is about 8-9 miles south of the Selby Garden location. It's along the intercoastal, and it has walking trails. It has right next door to it is a kayak launch and a restaurant. Yeah, and a butterfly garden. Yeah. And just this and that, more the beach scene. What do you call this?
Parasailing? Is it sailing?
Yes, parasailing, yes. So yeah, I see a lot of parasailers up there. And there's surprisingly, there is a Amish settlement in Sarasota. And this little girl was all dressed in her Amish dress, and she was hanging out at the beach. And I thought it was a very cute scene. So I took a shot. And this is me walking on the beach. Kayaks, subboards. So this is the mangrove tunnels in Lido Key. And you'll see manatees swim right up to you, right under your kayaks. And these people were subboarding out in the open waters. Brave people. Yeah, and fishing is another activity that a lot of people do here. And this guy is showing off his catch at the Venice Pier. He caught a shark, and this is me showing off my catch of the day.
What did you catch? What
I
kind of
don't
fish you got?
remember. Catfish,
It's big.
whitings. Yeah. We usually catch and release, but that day I said, okay, I'm gonna bring these home. And I regretted it. So it's all catch and release now. So more of the coastal scene and the wildlife that you'll run into while you're taking a walk. Lots of turtles and little crabs on the beach. And dolphins. When you take your boat out in the waters, they like to play in the water because the motorboat stirs things up. So they follow the boat to catch the things that are floating up in water. So yeah. And there is a cow. And this is the drum circle that I was talking to you about. Somebody took a drone picture. I thought it was so pretty. So I included in the presentation. And it goes on until after the sunset. It begins at sunset, like half hour before sunset on Sundays, and neon lights. People bring neon lights. Yeah. And another noteworthy activity on the beach is the yoga. It's usually in the morning, between 8 and 9, or in the evening. And you don't have to sign up. You just show up with your towel or a mat, and you just give the instructor a little tip. That's it. And what do people, okay. Yeah, so.
Is that Toby?
That's Toby on the boat. And this is swimming in the sand dune out in the open water. So Gulf of Mexico is very shallow along the coastline. And we could be out like far, far out, and we'll still be able to stand on a sand dune and go swimming. And just last weekend on the 28th, there was an event called Aquapalooza, and this is a picture from there. There must have been like hundreds of boats in the water, just all having a good time. Snorkeling, sailing. There's a sailing squadron. If you want to learn how to sail, I'm going to, that's my next to do. And do you play golf? 29 golf courses in Sarasota, another 64 within 20 miles of Sarasota. So you'll find your golf rounds in Florida. And restaurants. So Sarasota is famous for its food scene. And you'll find everything, Peruvian to Indian, Chinese, Japanese, Thai. Yes, Mexican and different kinds of Mexican, you know, Tex-Mex, the regular Mexican, Baja Mexican. Yeah. Great pizza places because a lot of New Jersey, New York people relocated here and they brought the New York pizza to Sarasota. And I did find an Uzbekistan restaurant. I haven't tried it, but there is one. Oh yeah, and this is, I have to mention this. Publix is a supermarket chain, kind of like Safeway in California. And they have these subs, like a Subway sandwich, and it's way better than the Subway sandwich. Oh yeah, I think that's it. And I want to mention to you that I'm also a realtor. So if you're thinking about buying a home, your second home, investments, please call me. Or if you want to come visit Sarasota, please call me. I'll be your guide.
Yeah, Veronica, you also have a houseboat, right?
Yeah, we have a houseboat you could rent out.
Yeah.
And this is, I call it the Technicolor sunset. Yeah, every day it's different color, but it's always amazing.
Wow. Wow, what a beautiful introduction of Sarasota. Wow, look at these beautiful pictures.
Yeah, and it doesn't get old, and on Facebook people will post something better every day. This is just like a glimpse. Isn't this? Yeah. I'm always amazed by the colors in Florida.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
I think that's it now.
Thank you so much, Veronica.
Okay, everybody.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.